shit.
Hi guys, we're live and I have Mark on the telephone. So Mark's on the telephone, but next time he will be on the computer so you can see him on the television, which will be nice. But, you know, that just saves you having to get ready and not really fussed about, you know, what you're wearing, what you're doing. But we're going to...
Right, because, you know, my damn Libra is like, well, we got to prepare for this shit.
Yeah, I'll put you right near the microphone so everyone can hear you. I'll try and sit you up somewhere. They can hear you anyway. Where do I put you?
Yeah, I think they can hear me.
I think they can hear you anyway because it's on loudspeaker. Yeah. So we were talking about the energy, and it has, for me, I've moved to the 20th. Some of you are moving to the 20th, and I've had a check-in with a few of my spiritual friends, and it's a big shift. It's not a fun shift. Some of us may be already experiencing the full moon in Leo, from my opinion. Do you agree? Heart chakra activation, purging, egoic, a bit of egoic energy. And especially I think because we previously had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn, we're seeing it playing out in families and connections and responsibility. Saturn, the Lord of responsibility. I mean, for me, I've got that in Leo, so I'm already feeling that Leo energy. And there can be some projection. So how...
Yeah, and this is just the type of energy you'll just where it's all the stuff that we've been working about these all 3 years, and it's really coming down to self-worth. It's coming down to no one is gonna fucking pick you. I mean, but no one is gonna pick you up anymore.
Yeah,
we gotta pick ourselves up, and everyone is used to people picking them up. And hey, we go do it too, and we just gotta pick ourselves up, and we're gonna have people around us that we're gonna feel are not in that energy, in that 3D consciousness type of energy, and it's just. No one's gonna pick anyone up. I mean, Leo King has said it. Everyone has said it, and it's just this is the type of energy how it is.
I'm just gonna put you there right near the microphone, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it better. Okay. Let me think about how it's been playing out for me. For me, as I mentioned to you, I contacted a few friends this morning and we were talking about things. Giggle contacted me this morning as well. And it's strange because some of those patterns, and I've even noticed it from the beginning of the month, pretty much from the end of last year moving into now, I feel we were having to adjust to the energy of the age of Aquarius. And it's funny because it's in Mercury, so it's our thoughts and it's our communication. But currently where we have the sun is at 0 degrees Aquarius, right? Now, the good thing is on the 20th, because it's going to be sextiling Aries and Chiron, we have the tool. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's you, but it can be very much fixated energy of everyone wanting things to stay the same because it feels safer, which is egoic, unfortunately.
Yes. And a lot of this too is us actually pulling these tools out that we need to use, and also with all these sextiles in astrology, whenever we have sextiles, it's all about opportunities. Well, we have the opportunity to transform. We have the opportunity to do X, Y, and Z depending upon the planet and what it's expressing.
Okay, so the shadow sign of Virgo actually links to Aries and Chiron anyway, because I was feeling from a higher heart chakra energy, and it's very much, you know, to do with our health, to do with our emotions, healthy boundaries, and I just feel that's really playing out. And people maybe at a codependent nature that haven't done that soul work could be feeling very projectile, and you know, it's the articulation. You've got to remember, guys, we currently have the Aquarian energy in Mercury. So we all feel everyone knows what each other wants. And it's very, we've got to be careful because it's very egoic. It's very emotional when we're being, you can't compartmentalize. And, you know, a few astrologers were talking about this, weren't they? How this would actually play out in the collective. And for some of you that are very empath orientated, you'll be seeing this playing out in the collective. And, you know, for me, I coach. For Mark, you see it as well when you connect in with your friendship groups, family, etc. And it's just really growing in trend where we're seeing splits. And the splits don't mean it's correct. And it will always be very temporary because it's egoic. And it's like, it's very pack mentality. It's not Aquarius. But you've got to remember what Aquarius means. They're the humanitarians. So it's in the, you know, it's, what is that notion? I will fight for my right to party sort of thing. I'll fight for my speech, freedom of speech, and it's Mercury. We have to be careful because that is, we can't speak for the collective. We are part of the collective, and I kept getting like downloads relating to us interconnecting to everything, which is probably why, you know, with the heart chakra and the Leo energy, in an egoic perspective, it's almost like a pain body experience, like you're crying for the universe, because you understand where a person's coming from, but it's really painful to see a person's point of view when they're in their ego and they can't see that you actually can cause pain to another person with your actions, and it's your accountability and responsibility to take. But that love, you can have that love for those individuals, but it's very perplexing to see human beings actually move in that vibration.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. You know, and with Aquarius, a lot of it too is Aquarius wants to reintegrate back into the collective. However, Aquarius at the same time has to remember that they have a little bit of, it's because, you know, it's an opposition to Leo. So they have a little bit of that, to come down from the pedestal a little bit to give to the collective their unique perspective. And for the collective to then understand it and to imbibe it and to actually appreciate it. So then Aquarius then has to come down, like I said, from that perspective, come down from that pedestal so that then they can actually reintegrate themselves into the collective, where their unique perspective is very unique. And it is, and we need it, but they got to come down, meaning Aquarius, it's not good for Aquarius to say, oh, well, I'm so unique and no one will understand me, so therefore I'm just going to shut my mouth and not say anything. And then they don't get to integrate into the collective.
It's almost like an overactive or an underactive energy, and it's I guess that's part of healing, that's part of growing, you know. And I guess all of us collectively at the moment are Aquarius. So, and I did mention that last year, it's almost like, oh my gosh, you know, tuning into that via astrology, I was sort of embodying that energy, and I went, oh heck, you know, I really do understand the pressure it is to be that Aquarian energy, because on the higher octane, you can directly understand it. It's a bit like being a spiritual guru. You can see the wound and you can see the bigger picture, and you understand nature. Mother Nature has a process. So you're in that higher octane Aquarian energy of seeing everyone's point of view and allowing that to transform naturally. And the ego is very controlling, a bit like playing chess, and no, this needs to be here, OCD energy. Which Mother Nature always knows best, I'll just say. And whenever I've had a circumstance like that, doors have been closed and they're not working. And then when I've just released and let go and actually understood there, you know, being a healer, you have to heal yourself. It's not a one-sided situation. Us as empaths tend to go through it way before. That's why I'm already embodying the Leo energy. Plus I have Saturn and Leo. So it's, you know, for me, I'm really... at a personal level, if you wish me to share, I'm looking at connections, and, you know, Saturn is the Lord of responsibility. So technically speaking, connected to my astrology. In my lifetime, my father instilled in me, and you're laughing at me as I'm saying this, for me to level up, get up, dust myself off and keep going. And that was my soul conditioning through my father energy. But being that it's a full moon, I'm also seeing a lot of projection coming from that domain, and it's a purge to a degree of no, that no longer actually resonates with me inside of my own life and my masculine side of my domain in my life. Yes, inside of my feminine, no, it doesn't, because that's you know, you've got to check in life where it's a you problem or it's another person's problem. We can't change to be something somebody wants. That is very much a you problem. So that's really what I've been seeing coming through. But on the lower octane of Aquarius, what do you find? Very projectile, very egoic. This is how you need to be.
It can be very, I know.
Yeah.
That type of thing with Aquarius, it's I know, so then therefore I know, which is great. However, even that can cause Aquarius to then become isolated, or to then become the pariah of the group.
Yeah.
Where then they resort back to I keep on saying the pedestal. I don't want to make it sound like they think that they're better than everyone, but what it is, their perspective needs to come into the collective, and Aquarius, you got to come down from the damn pedestal to present what you want to present.
So I know later we're going to do a video based on Saturn returns, but, you know, there's been huge shifts. There has been huge shifts. And in the collective, Some people have asked me when they feel movement will happen and things to that degree. And I really feel, if anything, more restrictions because it's Mercury, which is the nodes currently in Sagittarius are the South Node. I've noticed with the nodes, there's been a bit of a shift, and I don't know why I'm seeing that. Do you see that personally? I think through studying astrology, I've noticed that one never, they both transform. You move towards the other, you learn from it, but you do end up effectively changing both the South and the North Node. But on this occasion, I'm almost feeling very heavily that there's big transformations linking to the South Node, probably bigger than the North Node for some reason. And that's really what I'm saying, especially when the moon phases. I mentioned to you, I'm noticing that the full moons are acting like new moons and the new moons are acting like full moons for some reason. It's polar opposite. It's a real big shift.
Yeah, and you know, too, especially right now, which we've said before, with the nodal shift in Gemini and Sagittarius, there's going to be, and everyone can attest to this at this point, so much information that is coming at us, and through our own discernment and through our own inner guidance, we have to filter through all that shit.
I mentioned that last year. I was like, we are literally going to have to get a notebook because we are going to get sidetracked so often you're never going to get anything done. And I think for me, it's probably because we are going to be having Mercury going retrograde. We're days away from such. And it's in Aquarius, and it's linked to a particular house for you. Plus collective energy, it's 11th house, which is your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And it's like all of us are perplexed. It's like, what is that? You know, it's going retrograde. So all of those things that you're going to need to do, they're going to be coming at you faster. Mercury doesn't slow down. It picks up speed. So you're going to have all of these things in your face. You're going to be juggling, and it can feel overwhelming. So if you're sleeping, it's because you're going to be busy. If you're tired, you're purging an aspect of the ego.
Away at times.
Oh.
Yes. And like, if you are tired right now, and if you can sleep, do it. Like like I said, a lot of this is going to be, it's like this. It's just plain and simple. This is what the hell it is. Ready? If you wish to survive, you will find a guide inside. And that's just, I know that sounds so damn cliche, but that's what it is. And it's all this information, what's true for you, what feels right for you, what resonates for you, not what sounds great. It's what do you feel, not what do you think. Like we need to.
Well, look, and a lot of astrologers have actually said at the moment there is going to be projection. And I mean, you can use the YILDIZ readings as an example because we were talking about the astrology and, you know, some wanted things to stay the same, and that's fine. There's no judgment. This is merely an example. But the thing is, we're always transforming. There's always needs. We do need to assess those needs, but this transformation, it's a bit like having a friendship group and those friends come towards you and you can be friends forever, but then suddenly a need changes or a circumstance changes and it moves. But there is, in all of our lives at the moment, circumstances with astrology that is going to be a projectile energy that something has to stay the same. You know, it's really guiding us to trust the process, to understand that, yes, change is happening. It may give us a new way we can do that, but change is happening nevertheless. But you can't be unauthentic and pretend to be something you're not. You just can't. It's not going to work.
Absolutely. And talking about that, I got to go. My father has something's going on with him right now, but
I'll talk to you later.
To cut everything off. But yeah, but this is an example, but all right, I'll talk to you.
Have fun with family, Mark. Talk to you later. Okay, so we'll get back to the chat. But yeah, this morning I did notice a shift, and I've checked the astrology, and I usually embody the energy. I said to Mark, there's no sooner time than this because my hair was all over the place. You know, I tried to start doing the recordings, a lot of interruptions and a lot of ascension symptoms. And I sat with the energy and I looked at the astrology and I was like, heck, okay, let's have a look at this. And it probably wasn't until I had talked to a few spiritual friends, we exchanged energies as to what we were feeling. We were looking at both the collective. Lysiana, I had a chat to today. She's a spiritual friend of mine. We were tuning into things energetically. It was also Mark I had a chat to. Who else? And then I started looking at the astrology, and I was really quite perplexed as to why this energy was coming through. And I haven't yet checked the Schumann resonance, but I do believe it will rise if it isn't already. Now, I am feeling towards the 20th, you can have a bit of a spike in that. Now, the spike can relate to where it hits in your chart. Because we do have the sun in Aquarius on the 20th, it is at 0 degrees. It's like the full card in tarot. Now, there can be ego relating to what that responsibility is and how it's going to grow, and there can be problems relating to that. But the healthy thing is that, you know, although you may be super emotional about it, and there can be situations coming at you, you can be really thinking about, you know, what's happening in the world. You can really be thinking about, oh my God, how do I do this? When you're getting downloads, it's better not to actually do anything yet. You're better to sit in the vibration and sit with the emotion. You may Mars someone, because the last 2 days we did have the moon transiting Aries, and we still currently have the moon in Aries. So emotions relating to previous wounds can come up because we have Aries and Chiron there, but we currently have Mars and Taurus, so it's self-esteem. Also in moon phases, although we get the moon transiting other energies and we have the sun transiting, we also have the factor of the new and the full moon in each month, which will take on, you know, portions each side of the month and moving in. So perspectives, in a sense, you will find old wounds can come up, and it is, you know, during this time moving forward. But you've got to be careful if it's ego. You know, some of you, it may be your viewpoint and you've had a lot of time to sit with it. You've had a lot of time emotionally to look at it. And it won't just be one area. You know, we do actually look at the transits relating to twin flame path. But this really, most twin flames, what you'll find is you'll embody this energy well ahead of the collective. And you will have to purge an ego through it. So you'll feel like you're having a temper tantrum, and you'll be maybe frustrated, you know, feeling maybe boxed in and compartmentalized, but then getting to a point that you kind of purge it, you grow, and you have that new understanding. And then there'll be that heart-centered energy where you'll come back. So what I'm tuning into at the moment is almost effectively like I do feel spiritual pockets of people as well as the collective could be actually having a soul walk-in. Which I said to Mark, I was sitting there in the garage floor and I was going, I don't know what this energy is, man, but it's not good. I don't think people are going to like this. Where it's taking us, because we are moving to Mercury retrograde, it's very, what would the word be? It's almost like you anticipate you are outgrowing a way of being. That's about the best way I can describe it. You're outgrowing the way of being. It's like a soul death. That's what it's feeling like. It's like, this does not resonate with me anymore. It's everything. It won't be one thing. It just will be a whole energetic shift and purging through the body. Now, how does that play out? First, it can be ailments and things like that coming up. Then it can be chronic fatigue. It can be your eating, and usually the sign of eating is actually, it's a good and a bad thing. It's you're gaining your fuel because you will require it for the purge. And it's like, if you're eating the cookie jars and things like that, well, you know, Mars happens to be in Taurus, it will be till March. But then as you're upgrading your energy, you might feel bloated and things like, then you'll be purging and detoxing, having nausea, throwing up, IBS, things like that, because you're detoxing that, or it can be verbal, vocal. After that point, I do feel, look, and it never comes through. It's a bit like the 7 stages of healing. It doesn't come through in any set format. I'm not saying that, but energetically, you potentially may be feeling something is suddenly and drastically shifting, and it feels very foreign. And you can really be feeling quite foreign at the moment that you don't resonate. So my eating was actually quite increased, and now it's almost like I'm eating merely for fuel over interest. I remember my mum saying to me this morning, I should have come down and had a feed. And I said, I've got 99 things to do, and food ain't one. And it was merely I was eating through necessity over love. And that was because my body needed the fuel over actually having the interest. But in the earlier stages of the month, it very much was, okay, you know, I'm feeling very hungry. I'm really wanting something. And I was trying to rectify that because I study astrology. And I do know mid-year for Libra, we're going to be having Jupiter transiting Pisces. So any 5th house to 6th house activation inside of Jupiter can cause weight gain and health ailments. So, you know, I'm trying to counteract that now to make sure I keep on point through the year. And during Mars retrograde last year, a lot of us had pain body experiences, ailments were coming up, inflammation and things to that degree. I'm not a doctor, I noticed through astrology. and through the coaching. So again, look at it from an astrological point of view, a holistic over a medical. That is something you need to seek separately. Any questions? How have we all been? Fuel, yes, you will need a lot of fluid at the moment. Okay, fill a glass of water, write down a question on a piece of paper, put your... What's that for? Have you been going through death cycle in the last 2 months? Mine happened very abruptly and quickly, and I think I go through them regularly. This one's a big one. You got to, and it's kind of weird because a lot of what I purged, and as I mentioned, going into reunion years ago, and that was around 2017, I was mentioning to Giggle a lot of the old patterns I'd actually purged. So when I moved into that situation, there was already kind of, I wouldn't say there was a non-codependent pattern already inside of me. So I was not addressing that path the same, right? So when I came into, I'll answer a few questions in a moment, Dale. When I came into the connection again, I was rejecting old ways of being. So I was already a little bit ahead because that's where my soul worker got to. So all of you can get to that. That soul death had already happened well and truly before reunion. Then with the separation, I worked very aggressively through those blockages, any residue, codependent energies, egoic experiences, and that was another soul death there too. And that was quite a large one. So it depends on stages in your life and when they come up, especially if it's a very shocking event. It can be a very pivotal one. And because this is a brand new energy, I do feel collectively for a lot of us, we will be embodying that. It can be, you can kick and scream, but once you do reach a point and you feel something just really doesn't resonate, you won't be fighting it anymore. You won't be mad. You'll just be purely in acceptance. But that's usually after. And when you do have that soul walking, you can literally feel like an alien in your own body. So I think mine's already occurred well and truly. So there's certain resonance that just don't resonate with me. I've even noticed with my communication fashion, it's really changed because the old version of me was maybe a little bit too empathic. And when you have soul upgrades and your guides are working with you, you're taught, and your guides actually essentially operate through you to show you how to communicate to those individuals. And as that transforms and changes, the method and the style actually changes. So for me, the way my guides are operating at the moment is actually very matter of fact. I do feel in the past, the way my guides were operating through me and myself with my understanding, it was more so empath, compassion, optimistic. And it's not that I'm not optimistic anymore. The enabling energy of my guides is not so pussyfooting around anymore. So if you do find me direct, it is not honestly from a point of being unloving or anything in that fashion. My guides are communicating with me in a fashion to assist you to where you need to be. Okay? It's a team effort here. Okay, Yildiz, to remember dreams. It depends on where you are. I do find it's very similar to a psychic upgrade, right? You will find in your soul path, there are certain times where you're very 3D and you're dealing with a very large circumstance and you need to be in the humanistic body and your psychic gifts can close down. I remember having a chat to a friend years ago, and this does relate to dreams, so I will relate it back. They did say to me, oh, my psychic gift's gone. And I'm like, no, you're going through a very heavy energy at the moment and your body cannot cope with it because you are actually embodying other people's energy and soul energy, guides when that's happening. So if your auric field is really down, your guides will actually close that third eye down to protect you. Now, from the dream state, it much does the same because it is effectively a little bit like channeling, except you're astro traveling. So you've always got to be careful during Neptune retrograde because we can tend to get the 4-day. You've also got different experiences where you're having an upgrade, you know, the dream energy can close down. And then as you have purged a stage and you're reaching another plateau and level, it'll come back to you again. But try not to force it. I think the more you do force it, the more and it can be depleted sleep, that you're overtired. So trust the process, they return when they're ready. But it's not a forcible thing. Sometimes some of the experiences that you are trying to heal are so traumatic that your body is trying to do the soul work for you away from your ego because it's too difficult to see. Does that make sense? That's okay. But yeah, it's different stages. Some of them you will always know what is a premonition and what is a dream, and they will be very, very different. Some people do actually dream in color. Other people, it's black and white. But you will know the stark difference. It'll be a very repetitious dream, and it will feel very vivid, like it's real. And that usually is a premonition. Now, even though they can be premonitions, and I've had a lot of premonitions relating to my life, some of them are quite jerky where they try to get you there to a stage in your journey. And I'm yet to see one of the major ones, if that's to be. The funny thing is, you know, one of them was a child energy, and I do recall having a vision of my daughter. The next one was of a son, both my twin and I would have. But the funny thing is, both of us, where we are, we're very happy with the way things are. We have no attachment to it. So it sometimes can be past life energy. It sometimes can be something very separate. But again, you just have to move through. Yeah, just keep working with it, sweet. The PTSD and the work you do on it's effectively like a soul walk-in. It can be work. So, you know, working through that. And I always found having a structured routine can help, but you do need to allow variations in. You know, it's sensory, right? So it's desensitization to situations. And I mean, the funny thing was I had a download this morning and it was in the style that I'm doing readings on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, because I've seen the collective energy and I've had to, I mean, my role as a guide is to give you the psychic energy, to hopefully with my experiences share them so that they can help you in some shape or form, but also showing you the best way you can have the most high vibrational life, because especially separately on a separate subject, twins, ultimately speaking, even if it's not, you know, soul growth and awakenings aren't a choice. Well, they are, but they're here previous to incarnating. So theoretically, when we get very mad in an ego, we say, I don't resonate with that anymore, but it won't stop your soul growth. So when we mention you are twin, it is because an aspect of your soul growth is relating to that, and that process won't stop just because you choose you know, not to do something. It is a choice after a point in your ascension process, but your ascension nevertheless and your soul path will continue forward. Yeah, at the moment it's pretty energetic at the moment. So, but yeah, so upgrades and things to that degree, yes, they are happening. But again, there is very pack mentality happening, and we do need to be really disconcerting. You know, move into the heart chakra. Try and actually understand that things are changing, but they're very testing at the moment and emotional. And have faith in the process. I mean, from a movement point of view, when I say movement, I mean more, you know, airplane flights and things like that. I do think in the next 3 months there will be a lot of changes, and that can be relating to maybe legalities, means and ways. What other subjects can be coming up? I do feel there'll be a correct method in which that's going to be applied, and there can be quality systems that's going to come through for that to happen. And you may even find it can be more for humanitarianism, because we do have Mercury in Aquarius. My heart chakra is very active. Yeah, it's because we're going to have the full moon in Leo. What date does that fall on? Let's have a look. That was when I was doing the astrology per zodiac. I've got the date here somewhere. Okay, 19th, we had the sun entering Aquarius. And this was the week, really, that was the toughest, funny enough. So, and moving into the following week, we're going to have that residue energy. We're going to be, you know, there's still a lot of quincunxes We'll have the moon in Leo conjuncting Cappy. Oh, my daughter's calling. Anyway, I'll talk to her in a moment. So I thought I'd come to you guys and give you this update. If you do need to book a reading, the link is below. If you do want to join and you're brand new on the channel, please join the crew. And I will be having other interviews on the channel later. And as the energy comes, I'll just come to you guys and give you the update. But be gentle with yourselves. Try and move through this heart chakra energy. We do have the moon transiting Aries at the moment, so old wounds can come up. But you may not be resonating with certain things at the moment, and you can feel very distorted and disillusioned. It is temporary. Mercury retrograde will give you the solutions, but it can be very busy. So try and keep a very, structured routine. Keep grounded, and I'll see you during the months.